How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella. I want to remind you guys that 500,000 views video contest is still going on, so make sure you go back to the previous video, watch it to the end to find out how to enter if you want to have a chance to win in that giveaway. I will more than likely be doing the winner video at the end of the first week of June, maybe Monday after that, maybe the Monday of the second week. We'll see, depending on how many of you guys decide to actually enter. Right now, I think it's only about 13 or 14 entries, so I definitely want to see that number go up. And don't forget, there is a t-shirt, a flag, a bandana, and some Drakir or Tortured Endevilment merch in there, ready to go out at you if you want. And as well, I have an autopsy patch and a Dark Throne back patch. So there's quite a bit to be won in this giveaway. And again, I really appreciate you guys getting me to 500,000 views, halfway to 1 million. Pretty crazy just for a channel that talks about metal and punk and horror movies. So today we are going to be doing something a little bit different for the collection update style of things here. These are some stuff that the wife mostly enjoys, that we kind of got together, and I enjoy on occasion, but this would be maybe stuff if you're trying to get your partner who doesn't listen to metal or your girlfriend into metal, maybe introduce them through these bands and slowly get them into heavier and heavier stuff. This is probably going to be the most cringe-worthy part of the pile for anyone who's here for black metal or slam or thrash, because this definitely is not going to be that. With that being said, let's get into it. And we're going to just start off with the softest stuff first. So that is Simple Plan. This is Simple Plan with Get Your Heart On, a pop punk band based out of Quebec, Canada, so pretty local to me. They started in 1999 and have 4 other albums besides this. The most recent one that came out is called Taking One for the Team. That came out in 2016. This one, however, is their 4th album that was released in 2011. In my opinion, there's actually a lot of really enjoyable tracks off of this, like Jet Lag, You Suck at Love, Anywhere Else But Here, and even this song Saved My Life, even though the title of that track is pretty cringy. It's actually a fairly enjoyable song if you can enjoy pop punk. And Simple Plan was a band, along with Green Day and Black Sabbath, that kind of inspired my first band, Cure, back in the day, so I will always have a soft spot for Simple Plan in my heart. And Get Your Heart On is definitely no exception. It continues on that style that they had in the first 3 albums, and from here starts getting more and more kind of more just pop, or like a poppy emo type electronic sometimes here and there too. There's even like a little bit of reggae thrown in with Sean Paul for the Summer Paradise remix. But yeah, all right album. I really enjoy this one. Not so much the one that followed after this. There's like 1 or 2 songs on that album that was good, but this one is probably the last bastion of decent Simple Plan albums if you're into that style. Following that, I also had to get the Get Your Heart On, The Second Coming EP, which was released in 2013. So 2 years later, they came out with some, I guess, B-sides or extra tracks that just didn't fit on the Get Your Heart On album. This also has some enjoyable songs on here if you're into that style. Out of My System, Ordinary Life, Try, you know, not too bad for pop punk. So yeah, if you happen to like that style, you should enjoy these 2 albums by Simple Plan. If you kind of dropped off after their 3rd album, which I kind of did, and didn't realize they had more albums after that, maybe go check those 2 releases out. All right, the next thing on here that is definitely going to lose me some metal points is this. I don't really listen to these guys that often. This is more of the Weiss thing, but This is Black Veil Brides with Black Veil Brides 4, or just self-titled. You can kind of see there's a 4 there in Roman numerals on the ground. But yeah, fourth release by Black Veil Brides. They are a kind of post-hardcore metalcore band that came from Ohio, USA, and started in 2006. They have 4 other albums besides this and 2 EPs. The new album, The Phantom Tomorrow, should be coming out October 29th of this year. So if you like this project, that's coming out later on this year in the fall. Maybe consider picking it up. I think I remember hearing the single off of it. It wasn't too bad. This album in particular, though, being the 4th album from 2014, is okay. If I had to decide whether I liked a certain part of Black Veil Bride's career, it would definitely be We Stitch These Wounds, their demo or whatever that came before that, as my more preferred sound by these guys. The second album's all right, and the third album, The Wretched, was a little bit better, I think. And then this is just, I don't know, it's not bad, it's just kind of a meh and kind of forgettable album by this project. Even if you're into this project, I think it's kind of meh. So I think Veil might be better than this for sure. And yeah, but we had to get it because the wife's really into Andy Black and the Black Veil Brides and all that stuff. So this has to fill out our Black Veil Brides collection. Kind of forgettable, but if you're kind of a completist, you might just need to pick it up anyways if you're into that project. All right, moving on to something not always as heavier, but not always as softer either. This project can go one of two ways. It can go a little heavier than Black Veil Brides at times, depending on what track, and it can go quite a bit softer than Black Veil Brides at times. However, I feel like maybe a lot of you that come to my channel looking for like more extreme stuff like black metal or slam or thrash might appreciate this band a little bit more, considering I know Black Veil Brides gets all of the slack in the world. But you might like this band, and I discovered them, I would say, way too late, because I like projects like 3 Days Grace, 3 Doors Down, Finger 11, things like that. So when it came to 1,000 Foot Crutch, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, if you don't know who 1,000 Foot Crutch are, I don't blame you. They're not the biggest name when it comes to alternative metal and hard rock and new metal. Yes, they have the odd new metal feel in here sometimes. But yeah, 1,000 Foot Crutch is actually really, really local to me. They come from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. So basically a 30-minute drive from where I live. That's where these guys started up back in 1997. So I wish I had have gotten into these guys back in the late 90s, early 2000s, because this would have been my jam. Some of these tracks are really, really groovy and just kind of inspirational and sometimes fairly heavy hitting. Again, if you're into Finger 11 and 3 Days Grace and things like that with the odd alternative metal twist, think maybe some Edema, some Egypt Central, or things like that. I could definitely see some of these tracks being on the Queen of the Damned soundtrack. So if Queen of the Damned was ever your jam back in the day and those songs, this band could easily fit on there. Again, just some hard rock, alternative metal with the very small tinge of new metal here and there. He does some odd kind of like rapping over like heavy guitars sometimes, not all the time, and not most of the time, but just sometimes you'll hear him try to do some rappy type of stuff over it. Very, very white guy rap though. Anyways, it is actually a pretty decent project. This one is Phenomenon, that came out in 2003 and is their 3rd album, and again has some pretty decent tracks if you're into this kind of music. The fact that they're local is really cool too. I really do appreciate that they're from Peterborough, Canada. So that's neat. And besides the albums that I'm going to be talking to you guys about today from this project, they also have 6 other albums and I think 2 EPs, but I think they might be just live things or something. But yeah, this is a pretty decent album from this band. I want to get their whole discography with the wife. So other than that album by Thousand Foot Crutch, we also have this one, The End Is Where We Begin. This is definitely, in my opinion, one of their better albums. Really, really catchy, kind of inspirational, bombastic type of music. The only thing, again, is just I'm not a fan of these really flimsy digibooks, but the music itself is good, worth checking out if you don't mind something that's just a little positive, a little energetic and bouncy feeling that isn't all down-tuned guitars and all tremolos and blast beats, and with some more kind of clean vocals. That's what this is. If that strikes your fancy, if that sounds something you might give a chance, definitely do, because I wish I didn't have missed out on these guys in my early years. This would have been my jam again back in my teens. I would listen to the hell out of this. So yeah, cool to have this one. This one is their 7th album and it came out in 2012. Again, probably one of their best albums from what I've heard so far. And then skipping ahead a couple more albums, this is their 9th album, if you don't include their debut that they released by themselves. This is Exhale, which is, I think, a sequel to Oxygen Inhale. So this might be Oxygen Exhale. Not the best album, but there are some pretty decent tracks on here. Adrenaline, I really like that track for sure. A Different Kind of Dynamite is pretty sweet. The River is also decent. Pretty sure Can't Stop This is also a good track. Not really much to see on the inside. Just clouds and phases of the moon and such. And some lungs. Which, with the humidity that's been out recently, I've been hacking out a lot of my lungs. And that's coming from someone who's never smoked. So, yeah. Good weather. Yeah, so I'll eventually have to track down Inhale, I have to track down The Masquerade, or whatever that one is, and all the in-between albums. Just honestly, this is a really, really good band if you're not looking for tremolos and blast beats and growls. Alright, and the most recent thing this project has put out was a live compilation called Untraveled Roads. It has a couple of tracks that we don't have on the albums that we own so far, so and another reason why we got this, because some of their albums aren't the easiest to track down or the cheapest. So this came out in 2017. I don't know if they're going to be making any new music or not, or if they're working on a new album or not. There's no information about anything like that going on from the research I did before this video. So yeah, it's got Light Up the Sky, Let the Sparks Fly, The End Is Where We Begin, and A Different Kind of Dynamite. The other songs are pretty good too. I wouldn't say this is like a greatest hits, because they're definitely missing a few really good tracks on this, but I guess this is the songs they really felt like playing while on the road during this tour. But it's an alright production for live albums, as far as live albums go. And again, if you're into 3 Days Grace, if you're into Finger 11, if you're into Egypt Central or Dry Cell or Linkin Park or anything like that, you should probably enjoy Thousand Foot Crutch. Let me know if you end up checking them out and what you think of them. Alright, and the last thing in this collection update, aka bands to get your girlfriend or your friend who's not into metal to listen to slowly get into metal, is probably the heaviest thing in this list, and that is the 2nd album by I Prevail called Trauma. Comes in this cool little cardboard slip sleeve. There's the tracks on there in impact font, as would be expected for this type of music, and that is metalcore / post-hardcore at times. Probably even gets close to deathcore, depending on what track you're listening to. So this project does have the potential to be pretty heavy at times, with breakdowns and vocals and stuff like that. Again, not slam, not thrash, not death metal, but for what it is, it's pretty enjoyable. We actually have their first album as well, called Lifelines, that came out in 2016. The only thing we're missing by I Prevail now is their very first EP that came before their debut album, and that is Heart versus Mind, that came out in 2014. Pretty cool artwork, I gotta say. Lifelines and Heart versus Mind had some pretty cool artwork. I like the slip sleeve in this though. It's neat. I like when bands do that, like, cardboard cutout in the front. Really adds to the artistic kind of side of jewel cases and CD packaging. Kind of makes me wonder if the vinyl does that too. Probably does. Anywho, again, just some metalcore, post-hardcore that started in 2013 out of Michigan, United States. This one, second album, came out in 2019. Let me know if you enjoy I Prevail or anything like that. Do you still listen to metalcore sometimes or post-hardcore sometimes? Have you heard the first EP by this band, Heart vs. Mind? Is it any good? Is it worth getting? Let me know. Probably the same as all this, maybe just less refined and maybe not as crazily produced. But yep, so that is this update. That's what we got so far. The next update's going to be kind of big, because it's going to include most of the discographies of 2 bands. There's going to be quite a bit from 3 different bands, and then there's going to be 2 other bands that have 1 release if one doesn't get here. So I'm still waiting for 1 album by the next band. So after that, after the next Music to Get Your Girlfriend Into Metal video, we're going to go from there and do a alternative metal / new metal video. I don't know what I'm going to call it. The 8 new metal / alternative metal albums that you'll never own, or is fairly rare, but you definitely should track down and get because they're awesome video. I don't know. Well, I'll work on a better title than that. And after all that's done, don't worry, we'll eventually actually have some black metal on this channel again. Looking forward to doing those updates, just getting this stuff out of the way. The next thing on this channel will more than likely either be the giveaway or the Metalhead box. Anywho, let me know if you like this video. Let me know if you listen to any of this stuff. If you come to this channel for other genres, let me know if you listen to this stuff regardless. Would be cool to know. And that's it. We will see you soon. Cheers. For glory, for the Rebel Alliance. Slimerella out. Don't forget to enter the giveaway.